truthfulness and the hidden cost of lies, and how truth can repay with compound interest. This is a really touchy subject. For the next hour, can we all come from the space that we all tell lies? Can we do that? Right? And if you're saying to yourself right now, well, I don't, well, there you go. Yes, we do. We do it in really funny ways, and we're going to explore that today. And when we do lie, how do we duck and dive for cover? Like, how do I fix that one up now? Have you ever lied because you did not want to tell the truth? During the probation period of a new member of our team, they asked me a crystal clear question. Jennifer, am I going to make it? What I said was, just keep working at it. You'll be fine. What I actually thought was, never in a month of Sundays are you going to make it. That's what I thought, but that's not what I said. Of course, you would never do something like that, would you? I lied. I had the opportunity to tell the truth, and I didn't take it. I did not want to be the one who told them. I was so over being the bearer of bad news. That was my excuse. That was the story I told myself. That was the lie I told me. And the one that came out of my mouth was the one that I told them. I lied, and everyone in our business suffered. They had enormous heartache over it, including our clients. It impacted them too. Today, I'd like to talk to you about this very touchy subject from two sides: the lies we tell and the lies we accept. So what is a lie? Simply said, it's false information given or truth not said or accepted. Now, there's lots of ways that we do this. And there's lots of words that we have to kind of soften the blow of what we're actually doing. I've had people say to me, Jennifer, you can't tell them that they're liars. And I'll go, okay, they're myth makers. They just make up myths and they think it's true. They evade. There's a lot of evasion going on here. They tell tales and they slander each other. Or they perjure each other and they distort the truth. And in some cases, they're fraudulent. Of course, none of us are like that. They make up fabrications, and they're beautiful stories, and they give not quite accurate information. These are all forms of lying. Now, the most used one is the little white lie. It won't hurt them. It won't matter. We are conditioned in our society to tell little white lies. Consider that our people who we work with are hungry for the truth. And we are challenged daily by what we admit and what we avoid saying. We all tell lies. Research has shown that it happens every 7 minutes. Now I'm really worried. What have I said? It's not quite accurate. In Sam Harris's little book, Lying, he gave that as a statistic. I got so scared when I first read that. I didn't want to say anything. Let's just be quiet. If you're telling yourself, well, I don't lie, well, actually, you're lying right now. You're lying to yourself. What are the things that you fail to say to people? So when I first read this, I decided I would need to slow down my speaking and get more considered and accurate. I realised how much I left out. How many of you leave things out? How I painted a rosier picture than it actually was. And then I justified it with, well, people don't really want to know and they're not really that interested. and on went my stories about it. What are the hidden costs of our lies in our organisations, and how can we collect the compound interest of truth-saying? Are you interested? Do not confuse this with confidential information. Oh, I can't tell them that, it's confidential. Hang on a second, we're not talking about that. That's a whole nother conversation. For those of you who are here for the first time, we will be posing questions and sending you out to breakout rooms. And in the breakout room, you'll discuss the question with one of our moderators. And then what we'll do is we'll reconvene and come back with some of the facts that I've learned about some of these things. So while you're in your room, if you haven't done so already, introduce yourself. What company are you from? And what's your location? So for our first breakout question, let's go to this one. What are the different types of lies that we tell? Off you go. Welcome back. So what are the different kinds of lies that we tell? I'm sure you had lots of fun with this topic. There are types of lies that happen inside of organisations that are so painful for the people. It is destructive and is one of the root causes for toxic cultures and poor cultures. It is the violence of silence. In organisations where there is silence, it is deafening. You don't hear anything until it is too late. Have you ever said as a leader, I wish you told me that before? I wish I knew that before I made that decision? Ever had that experience? Where you've made a big call on a piece of information because people were silent, and that violence has an impact and a rolling effect on the entire business. So I'm going to give you a little exercise to do right now. I want you, just don't spend too much time on this, just think very quickly and list 3 places inside of your business where there is silence and it is deafening. You do not hear what you need to hear. Now, be courageous, be brave, go digging, go find out how come it's quiet over there. You know, when my children were young, I used to go, if they're quiet, they're up to something. If I can't feel them in my business with my people, I know something's gone on over there, something's gone down. And so I make it a practice to make sure that I gently touch the various parts of the business daily, weekly, whatever is appropriate. There are 3 drivers of silence inside of an organisation. The 3 different kinds of ways that we lie. And they are the lies of collusion, omission, and commission. Let's just talk about that. What is a lie of collusion? Well, it goes like this. I won't say if you don't say. I won't challenge you if you don't challenge me. This begins an unholy alliance where everyone just doesn't say anything. And it is the illusion where we co-opt people into that illusion, and then we all pretend and play happy families together and wonder why some of the things that you want to have happen aren't happening. You have collusion. You have got people agreeing to keep the lies alive. Remember my team member? False encouragement, oh, it'll be fine, just keep going, is a form of stealing and lying. Don't do it. Say it how it is. And a little bit later we'll give you a couple of tools that will support you to do it. Then comes the lie of omission. This is where not saying anything does not mean you told the truth. Consider that. Just because you were silent doesn't mean you told the truth. This is the heart of the violence of silence. We just don't say things. Or we'll actually say, well, no one asked me, so I didn't say. Have you ever had someone say that to you? Then you wonder why a project or something, you don't hit the budget and the timeline is shot because there are lies of omission. Now, the lies of commission are actually the bad things that we do. And as leaders, the toughest thing is to actually own that this is some of the bad stuff that we do. And this is how we do it. We kill off people. We silence them. We make sure that they don't tell us what we really want to hear, what we really need to hear. This is in fact incredibly cruel as we dampen down and close people off. We will not say the things that are required to be said in this place. And people slowly die. And the culture dies with them. They never quite give the organisation everything that you know that they could give you. This is truly painful. The lies of commission can really kill off your organisation. And when I hear some of the things that goes on in organisations that we work with, I go, oh my, that is a disaster waiting to happen. When we lie using any of these methods, there is a consequence. And we have an acronym for lie. Look at this. When we lie, the L stands for, we license the past. We actually justify what is going on and we make it okay. We ignore what's happening because of how we're licensing the past, and we ignore the present. We go, I was not going to look at that. La, 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 la. And you know, we want to pretend we don't do things like that. We do. And then in the moment that we license the past and ignore what's going on right now, we extinguish the future. We kill off the future that we believe is possible inside of our organisations. When we allow these lies to continue, here's a question I want you to answer. Where does the power lie when there is lying? Where is the power when we lie? It's with the lie. It's with the secret. You have no power. And in that moment, you extinguish the future that you dream about. This is a tough, tough way of looking at it. And I've had to turn myself inside out to correct when I lie by omission, commission, or I co-opt people into my illusion. So, squirm a bit. We'll go to our next breakout question. And let's examine what has us accept lies. What has us accept them? What is the thing that makes us do that? Off you go. Welcome back. So what has us lie or accept lies? So how many of you can't even be with right now that you do tell lies? You're like, oh no, I don't do that. The lies that we give and accept, and how do we do it? This can be quite subtle without us even realising that that's what we're doing. So here's a list of things that we do. We pretend. All is well. Over here, it's lovely. How are you, they say? I'm fine. You do know what that stands for. You're frustrated, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. And but that's not happening, okay? We don't want people to know how we're really feeling, that we're struggling. And right now, you know, so many times during COVID, I've asked people, so how are you going? And then they look at me and their eyes kind of glaze over. And I go, okay, I got it. We all want 2020 to be over, don't we? Let's just tell the truth about that. This has been tough this year. Or we fob people off. And because we don't want to explain ourselves. Oh, no, it's good. No, I don't want to talk about that. Ever fobbed someone off? We shoot the messenger. Yeah? And then we decide we don't want to be the messenger that got shot. So I ain't going to say anything. Because the last time I said something, they pulled out their gun and shot me. We'll avoid the confront at any price. Because it's just too hard, and so we lie. And we avoid it. And most times that price is miles too high. There's emotional upset, there's time loss, and there's energy given to this. How about this one? It's just too much trouble. Over there, go to that person. Or we just can't be bothered. I was having a conversation with one of my team recently, and I said, I can't be bothered. And I go, and then what I can't be bothered with is I don't go and make that extra effort and I pretend that I actually am. Or I'm just embarrassed. Well, I can't tell them that. It's too much pain for me to acknowledge that, and I'm embarrassed, so we don't say. All of this is driven by our fear, imagined or real. There's an acronym for fear that's quite well known, false evidence appearing real. You know, there's a wonderful sense of release when we tell the truth and the fear just simply disappears. We make up stories about what would happen if we just, and we don't say it. Then we justify it and talk ourselves into the current status quo that we maintain. The world won't come to an end if you tell the truth. In fact, the world may thank you. Many times I have had that wonderful experience where people have said to me, thank you so much for telling me. When we don't tell people what they need to hear, we're living inside an illusion that we're looking after them and we are protecting them. In fact, in that moment, we're actually protecting ourselves. When we don't tell people what they need to know, they are already hurting. You've just made it worse by not saying. We have an acronym for being too nice. And so many of our clients, they love this one and they'll say it over and over. Nothing in me cares enough to tell you the truth. The question is, who are you really protecting here? We run protection agencies as leaders, thinking that we are supporting our people when we are not. Remember my team member? I didn't want to be the one who disappointed them. All I did was cause an enormous amount of heartache for them and us. The lies we tell and accept determines the culture that we create as leaders. We are then the enabler of that culture and we keep it in play. So, it is a huge topic, this, and one that will have us definitely squirming in our seats as leaders. What would we need to own about ourselves in how we keep this alive? So go and have a look. How do you shut people down? How do you keep the lies alive? Then how do we tell the truth and maintain someone's dignity at the same time? That's important, isn't it? And how about this? How'd you like a little bit of freedom from all of this? Nod your heads. Who'd like a little bit of freedom from all of this? So our next question is, why does the truth set you free? Off you go and have a discussion in your group. Welcome back, everyone. Why does the truth set us free? And how can it set us free? Some of you, like me, have squirmed through this topic. Here's one thing that I know. When I squirm and when I get uncomfortable, it's more likely that I will do something. So squirm away. Get really uncomfortable with some of the things that you're hearing here and how it applies to you. Don't look at your people. I promise you this, that if you see it in your organization, you're doing it. Because they will only do what the leader does. If you are a truth sayer, then your people will be truth sayers. Or you killed off the truth saying. This is really tough to hear. So if you want some freedom, that's the thing to go and have a look at. Maybe you could even be saying to yourself, really, I've tried that truth thing and it certainly hasn't got me any freedom. You should see what happened. Good. Keep doing it. Go find the people to work with, engage with, and hire that would love the truth. So here's the thing about the truth. The truth will set you free. There's something that happens immediately following or before. It'll upset you first. So get upset. Get really upset about the truths that you accept, the lies that you accept from yourself and your people. Have you ever been challenged and got offended? Yeah, well, how dare they say that to me? Because, you know why we're offended? Because there's a little bit of truth in what they're saying. And maybe there's a lot of truth if we're very offended. So, someone just called you out on your BS and you pretend that that isn't what's happening. We also get upset because some of the truths that are spoken, we take personally. Oh, they can't say that to me, it's personal. No, it's not. It's an observation or a piece of useful information that you could do something with. What can this look like? You know, what does it look like? You're often too quick to negatively judge them or yourself. You frequently worry that you offended someone. Oh, I can't say that, I don't want to offend them. Or maybe I have said it and they are offended. Even when you have no real evidence for it. You worry excessively about what others think of you and how they're judging you and how you were perceived in a particular setting. So how does this truth setting set us free? It's when we begin to hear the feedback in the spirit in which it is given. Take the opportunity to examine yourself and then grow. Here's something I found really exciting, and it's when a member of my team said to a senior leader in a workshop, she actually said, "We tell the truth in our organisation because Jennifer demonstrated it. And then we could too." I'd never thought about the fact that if I didn't demonstrate it, they would not either. So, here's a little challenge for you. Take this one away. Think of 3 people in your business right now that you've been a laggard in telling the truth to and challenging. Now give yourself 48 hours to talk to them. Don't make excuses, oh, they're not here, this and that and the other thing. I love it. You know, I say, okay, when are you going to do that? And people go, oh, I mean, I think about it. No, now. Do it now. Then when you give them the piece of truth that you have, here's a bit of courageousness for you. Ask them for a piece of truth about you. And be gracious. The only thing you say to them when they have told you is thank you. That's it. No justification, no story, no nothing, just thank you. How honest we are is determined by how vulnerable we are willing to be with our people. The inability to give feedback or truth weakens teams and destroys good culture. Remember my team member? Am I going to make it? I lied to myself. I don't want to disappoint. That's the lie. No, the disappointment was so much bigger than that. It restricts us and leaves so many issues unresolved on the table to fuel the next upset that they have. The truth cleans up the toxicity in poor cultures. And we have a wonderful way of having organisations examine what happens in their organisation. This is a huge process, and let me share an overview of it. We have our team dynamic program. It will give you an insight into your team as individuals and as a group. The team dynamic workshop is fun and also really confronting. And it looks at us as leaders and the impact that we have. We talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you're still in business, by the way, there must be more good than anything else that's going on. Otherwise, you'd be dying. So let's have that as a given, okay? Let's look at the bad and the ugly is what we tell people. And they don't want to. Why are you always telling us that? It's so horrible and you're so mean. Okay, good. And what does it take to go to the next level? To do that, we look at the bad and the ugly, no matter how painful. And when you're the CEO, it's painful. Through this particular process, your team will enact, literally as a play, the current state of your culture. And then they give it a name. So some of you that are clients of ours will know the name that your team gave you. They call it something. At Integrity and Values, we regularly put ourselves through this process. I don't like it. Our last enactment was almost 3 years ago, where we named ourselves. We called ourselves Insania Mania. I felt like I had woken up with an alien on my face. We were supposed to know this stuff. The team were laughing. I wasn't. I was like this. Really? That's what we've got here? I could see how we were Insania Mania and how I could create that. My shining light was our future state that we enacted. So you create the current state, then you create the future state. I got pretty excited. The team called themselves Grooving in the Slipstream. Hearing the truth that we were Insania Mania was very upsetting. And it took me a few days to go, just own it, bathe in it, Jennifer. It was beyond confronting for me. And yet, how about this? It set me free. It told me some truths in a way that there was no blame, no shame. There was simply, here is how we can be at times. Today, we groove and are often in the slipstream. We are fully aware that we can fall back into Insania Mania at any time. How do we maintain grooving in the slipstream? This is a fun and challenging truth-telling process for leaders. It sets us free to create the future that we dream about and that we would really love to have. Or we will pay for the continued lies that are told inside of our culture. So we bathe in the bad and the ugly to create what we would really like. So that's just one of our processes. Let's go to our last breakout question. What is the cost of the lies in your organisation? How much does it actually cost? Off you go and have a chat. Welcome back. There's a personal cost for the lies that we accept inside of our organisations. That cost decays the belief you have in yourself and throttles your capacity to see a brighter future, where you could take your life and the organisation. How do we create enough safety so the truth is spoken? I've said it before, it starts with you. You could ask yourself this question: how do you in your organisation budget for lies? budget for them. Every overrun project was preceded by lies. Someone didn't say something. Someone didn't own up to something. Now you're in trouble. And you're over time and over budget. Let me give you an example. I was standing in the warehouse of an engineering company many years ago. They wanted me to see what they built. And let me tell you, it was impressive. It was huge. This object that they had built. Then this came out of the operations manager's mouth as they were loading it on the truck. Oh, that'll be back in 2 weeks. And it was as casual as that. I went, why? His response, it's got flaws. They won't accept it. No worries though, it'll be there on time. By the casualness of his response, I knew that this was normal procedure and practice inside of the business. This enormous piece of equipment was going from New South Wales to northern Western Australia. The priority was to meet the delivery deadline, not quality or customer service. I was stunned. You know, I'm not often speechless, but I was. I was like, what do you do with that? I took a deep breath, thanked him for the tour of his lovely factory, and went to the CEO. And I said, do you know you got a huge problem here? Guess what his response was? Yeah, I know. I said, well, we're going to do something about it. We're going to measure the success of our program, our Leadership in Action program, on your organisation by the reduction of reworks. That was it. We're going to reduce it by 20%. Reworks are a lie that is perpetuated in most businesses. And the cost is enormous. So I've got another little exercise for you. Go and cost 3 pieces of rework inside of your business. Cost it. Now work out what is the compound interest on that. Remember the truck going to WA? It was $3,000. It happened often in the organisation. That alone was a $250,000 rework in hard cost over 5 years for one thing. Go work it out. When do you pay for lies? And how do you pay for them? And if truth repays with compound interest, let's figure out our payment system. At Integrity and Values, we talk about this. You either pay now or you pay later. Pay now, pay less. Take the pain, take the whatever. You will pay less for that one. Or you pay later, and then you will pay more, and it will be more painful. Lies have you ignorant of what may happen. Here's a little piece from the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. This is going to scare you. They estimate that organisations lose $3.5 trillion due to deception and fraud. While the number is staggering, it fails to capture the hidden cost that the cost inside of the workplace that lies have on the organisation, on its climate, its culture, employee morale, satisfaction, and organisational productivity. So that was in an article in Psychology Today, July 29, 2019. That was just yesterday, last year. To support you in telling the truth, let me give you one piece. Who do you need to be as a leader to say the things that are required is key, and getting permission to say it is the most important thing. Then have the courage to speak it in the face of no agreement. Our problem is we live our lives backwards. And in organisations, especially big ones, they want to get or have the results. Give it to me now. Give me that result. This is my quarterly return, my weekly, my monthly, my whatever it is. And then you wonder why people lie. Then they'll go, so give me the result, then I'll do the things that those results give us, and then I'll be the kind of person that tells the truth. No, you got it backwards. You got to live your life forwards. You got to be the person who is a truth sayer that can handle it in this moment. Then you will do the things and take the actions that leaders who are truth sayers have. And then you get the result. You have the result. You get what you want. Stop living life backwards. Go and examine, who are you being? Now, when you go to tell the truth to people, remember, go really hard on what the issue is. Remember the truck going to northern Western Australia? The issue was, it was flawed. Go hard on that. What do we need to do? What are the systems, the processes? What is the issue? And then go soft like a fluffy cloud on the person. People don't wake up in the morning and come to your organisation and say, I can't wait to make it really bad and horrible for everybody around here. And yet, that's what happens. And it's done inside of the lies that we tell. What are the lies that you tell yourself about your people? Remember that encouragement for someone who actually can't give you what you want destroys them and you. Remember that thing, I wish you told me that earlier. Let's not have that happen. We measure truthfulness in our integrity and values profile. We know that everyone tells lies. That's not the problem. It's the velocity with which we correct. When we as leaders are able to hear the truth, speak the truth, we free ourselves and our people. They will come and tell you things and live with nothing hidden from you. Our company values a trust with a distinction of permission to take bold action. This supports me to speak up and say what needs to be said now, no matter what the response is. Our value of care with a distinction, the courage to do what's right, reminds me to be courageous and speak no matter what the consequences. My invitation to you today, there is a hidden cost in lies. Go soft on the people, go hard on the issue. Our people are hungry for the truth that we could give them. Let's go tell them and love them all the way through. They will appreciate it. Thank you for being here today.